Hello, everyone, and welcome to Government Cheese Time. Government Cheese Time live stream is brought to you by the Anti-Watch Watch Club. The Anti-Watch Watch Club is a 501c3 charitable organization that believes in caring for those who have borne and currently bear the battle. I invite everybody to go check out the Anti-Watch Watch Club at antiwatchclub.org. They currently have a new program called the Blue Guardians program, and the whole purpose of it is to basically take care of the gap. Now, and maybe we call it training gap or whatever you want to call it, knowledge gap, but a gap where maybe someone that's serving in a first responder or police law enforcement situation, um, their department can't afford to take care of some training for them, right? So the Blue Guardians program will help bridge that gap in a tactical education or emotional intelligence or just reinforce soft skills that law enforcement officers around the country are sorely lacking. And it'll take care of stuff like technical and academic division officers, stuff like jujitsu, defensive tactics, report writing. I'm here to tell you, you got to take care of your admin all the time. I don't care what job it is. Anything technically sound, you're going to have to know how to write some reports. Crisis intervention training, victim advocacy, tactical field care, advanced firearm courses. So when your department say no, AWWC is going to say, why not? You can check it out here. You can donate to the Blue Guardian program there. And some other cool stuff that the AWWC has done so far. They've helped clothe and house 4 veterans in a sober living community. And they did that worry-free for 12 months. That's pretty cool. They help provide some funds for housing and medical care for some military working dog canines for 12 months. They sponsored 4 law enforcement officers for up to 1 year or up to their blue belt in jiu-jitsu, whichever came first, and an accredited Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym of their choosing. They've also done some stuff for advanced CQB and pistol marksmanship courses and advanced interdiction training. But again, I invite you to go check them out, antiwatchclub.org. You can buy all kinds of cool stuff. Again, 501c3 charity. You can get cool stuff like the flag behind me, t-shirts, knowledge bottles, the whole nine. And the money always goes to a good cause, such as, charities we just talked about. So tonight's going to be a little bit different episode. We're going to discuss the topics that were on the thing. Unfortunately, my co-host Alex had a family emergency at the last second. Technically, everything's okay. I'm going to be going solo for a while. So if we have people in the comments, I'm going to check it and do it all. But and then Cody's in an undisclosed location taking care of stuff. So we're going to talk about stuff tonight. But in traditional fashion, got to do a watch check or wrist check. I'm wearing my new Mulligan Shute 10th anniversary SAR timer. Got it serviced. It was serviced and everything. Oh man, this thing's wonderful. I love it. There's some special stuff with the movement. I'm not going to go on and on. It's a Salida SW200 modified by Mulla, but the thing's pretty sweet. And but I hope everyone's having a good holiday weekend, with it being Labor Day weekend and all that stuff. So as far as what's going on this week, well, NWA, you saw this one. This one's been relatively new. I have it on a Zulu Diver Octopod strap, which is really cool. Very secure. I got it. I got the blasted case, the blasted buckle. See right there, I got it on the gray one. Pretty easy to put on. The instructions are pretty good on the website. Fairly affordable. I think the buckle was like $50 and then the strap was like 12. Having for those of you that watch the show for a while, I have a 7.5 inch wrist. So I think having a 1/2 inch wrist is really weird because nothing ever really truly fits right. Like the North American Treaty Organization style straps, they don't fit right. They're always either a little too tight or a little too loose. I don't know. Maybe I should invent a strap company that just sells straps with the holes at the 1/2 inch markers for people with 1/2 inch wrist. I don't know. So did we do anything cool this week? Well, this week was a work week prior to the holiday. So you know how it is. You're just trying to get everything done. Usually a short week. Most places give Friday off, not all of them, but some do. I just finished an awesome trip a couple of weeks ago with Luminox and a blog to watch. For those of you that don't know, I won the May giveaway for a Luminox and a trip to Moab, Utah. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to bury the lead. There's an article being written, and there's also going to be an awesome article from blog to watch and some stuff from Luminox. But I can't say enough about the Luminox people. Shout out Francina, great. Ed and Ariel from blog to watch were awesome. Just had a great time. My wife came along. If anyone's never been to Moab, Utah, I would highly suggest you go. It's almost like disturbingly beautiful, and all the people were super like down to earth and relaxed and kind and everything. So it was just a great time. But like I said, I'll cover it more on my podcast in a couple of weeks, and I have something special to show you from that I cannot show you now, but I can show you in the near future. So that'll be cool. Other than that, though, I mean, got the NWA. I got another one, but the bracelet was a little too small, so I'm trying to work that one out. I'll share that with you guys next week. And I know that Alex had a last minute pop up surprise training, so he went to that, came back, and then some stuff happened tonight. So, again, shout out Alex, and hope everything gets better. And then Cody is working, pretty sure, in southern part of the country. But so let's get to the meat and potatoes of this episode. So this week there's been, it seems like a metric butt ton of releases, like a whole lot of releases. And one of the most interesting releases was this Oris Aquas Pro 4,000 meter, right? So, I mean, this thing's rated to 1,000 meters. I'm never going to go that deep. The Oris Aquas Pro is rated to 4,000 meters. So I thought this was a pretty cool piece when I saw it originally pop up in an article. But I definitely have some thoughts. I know Alex is a big fan of Oris. He just won an Oris not too long ago, and he had one before that. I think he sold it, and then he entered a trivia contest when he was up in Colorado, and basically answered all the questions correctly, and won himself a free Oris. So I know he's a big fan of Oris. He's actually told me some pretty cool facts about Oris, like on the Aquas, how the first link on the bracelet basically looks like the lugs, so you can't tell them apart. It's pretty sweet. That's how he won the watch, because Alex literally has the greatest like technical memory I've ever met of anybody with watches. It's crazy. Like it's just nuts. I mean, if I ever go to watch trivia now, I'm going to go with Alex, reap the benefits of his knowledge. But so they released this Oris Aquas Pro this week, and like most stuff, there was a whole lot of chatter going on in the chat. So it's a big boy, 49.5 millimeters. It's made out of titanium. It's $6,200, and they talk about some innovations. Now, we'll get to this, and the first thing I noticed about this, and we talk about websites a lot on here, right? Some websites are better than others, some aren't so great, et cetera, et cetera. But they got this RSS system, right? And so when I first came up here, I was like, oh, RSS, right? So it says activating RSS right here. And the first thing I noticed is like, well, what does RSS mean, right? So when you've ever, now I looked at the picture and it said rotation safety system, right? Which, okay, RSS. I'm gonna give you some free advice, Oris. Anyone that's going to really use this in a practical application is going to be pretty technically sound, right? So usually when you write from a technical background, the first time you use an acronym, you would spell it out first and put the acronym behind it in parentheses, right? So that's just strictly technical writing. That's just a free piece of advice, because if I'm coming here to buy this watch and I'm a diver and I'm like, well, what is RSS? I had to look at the picture to find out what RSS is. You could have said activating rotation safety system and then put RSS, and then use RSS the rest of the time in the writing. And we know what that acronym stands for because we use the first usage. Just some free advice. But you hold the bezel's black vulcanized rubber edge and then you lift it, right? So there's a little video down there. You lift it up and then you spin it around and you can set the edge of the top ring, right? So you can take a look at this thing right here. It's pretty beefy. Pretty beefy. Has some interesting screw bars. I wanted to see both sides of it because I wanted to see if it was the double screw on both sides, because that's pretty. It seems easy, but that thing's kind of a pain in the butt. This thing, the SAR timer I have has double screws, and you need that little. I need the little tool because my hands don't. I've had surgery in my one hand, so I can't really do the double screwdriver thing like I used to. Tells you how to set the timer, securing the time, so you can see that the sections move there, right? And then here we go with the video, right? So they show you, it looks pretty solidly constructed. So I noticed, I don't want to be this guy, man, but I noticed something interesting about Oris's advertising for this. So it's someone that's in a long-term committed relationship because they have a band on, and they're walking down the street setting this timer, maybe to catch a subway, something, I don't know. But they are not using this timepiece, I guess, what it's designed for. They're definitely not 4,000 meters down. So that's just something to keep in mind, because I'm going to touch on that in a second. You come here, you got the Oris 400 movement. I looked that up earlier. and it's an automatic movement. It's got 21 joules. It beats at 28,800. It's got a power reserve though of 120 hours, 5 days, and it's got a twin barrel design. So that's pretty cool. And Oris always talks about plus or minus, et cetera a day. But you look at the specs here, it's 13 and a quarter millimeters thick. So I mean that's not the thickest thing I've ever seen in my life. Um, 21 joules comes on a blue band. It tells you about the Oris 400 movement here. My only issue with this thing is that they show it on the street, right? And what is this comparable to? So this is comparable to, the Planet Ocean Ultra Deep, which we see here. And the Planet Ocean Ultra Deep, it's titanium. Come here, you check it all out. But everything about this, especially now, this is probably, I don't know, maybe it's real water, but it looks like fake water, right? But you come down and they talk about how they strapped two of these to the outside of the submersible for the world record depth, the two ultra deep watches down in the Mariana Trench in 2019. Each one surfaced unscathed, right? So they actually proved, and then they show us in the marketing and the advertising that this ultra deep actually went ultra deep, right? And I know that's the name of the place in Mariana Trench, but so Omega does that, right? There's no one walking down the street, no one trying to catch a subway. They're just kind of showing you this watch in its environment and what it does, right? So I mean that's one thing. And then the other one that it's directly comparable to, I would say, is the Rolex, the Deep Sea, right? And so they talk about it was unveiled in 2008. It can withstand all these pressures, the Deep Sea Challenge, and can reach a depth of, 11,000 meters, right? Which none of us are going to. But again, Rolex's advertising and marketing, there it is. It looks like it's floating around in the ocean. They got this cool little submersible hauling butt to the bottom of the ocean. It's doing some, creepy little landing. But I mean, and then we go more and more, but they talk about the helium escape valve and all that stuff. But I guess my big thing with this is it's a really cool watch, but like Oris, you don't do yourself any favors. Like if this watch has done something cool, then I would recommend that you just like show it doing something cool, right? Like I'm sure this works, RSS system, but like there's nothing showing us that it works. And I think that's an issue. Now I know Alex, I mean, I'm not going to speak for Alex, but I pretty much think I know Alex pretty well at this point. I think Alex would say the same thing, right? It's got all this awesome specs, but there's nothing that really shows it doing what it's supposed to be doing. So, that's the Oris Aquas Pro 4,000 meters. I think it's a snazzy looking watch. I mean, I have decent sized wrists. I think I can wear it. The loom's pretty sweet. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. But I just, show it doing something. Like do something with it, like something cool. Because Oris does do some cool stuff. They have the seafoam green model that they use to promote the saving the oysters in New York Harbor and stuff like that. So they got some cool stuff that they could tie it to. I would just say take it deep and kind of show off what the watch can do so people have an idea. All right, so the next watch, this is all leading up to something eventually, but the next watch that was released, and I saw some mixed reviews on this one from different people, is the Tissot PRX Digital. Now, I think this thing's kind of cool, and I think it's kind of cool for a couple of reasons. I think it's sci-fi, like what I would have thought as a little kid would have been sci-fi-esque when I was little. And you have a stainless steel and you have a gold version. I think both are pretty cool. I don't know. It's an interesting piece. It's 40 millimeters. So, I mean, that's not even that big. That's, I would consider a normal size timepiece of this one. It has a sapphire crystal, which I thought was pretty interesting. It's a quartz movement object, obviously, because it's digital. It's got an interchangeable quick release bracelet. I didn't see a picture that shows that quick release, but it must be pretty easy. And we all know how it is. Someone's going to make aftermarket, and then Tissot is going to charge you for an aftermarket or for their own strap. Comes in at $375. I think that's I think that's pretty cool price. You know what I mean? Like if you wanted something fun, if you wanted something that I think stuff like this is more of a conversation starter than people realize. I think that people are going to be like, "Oh man, what's that?" You know what I mean? And then once they see it, I think especially once they see it's digital, because I think there's a whole lot of nostalgia going around now. You see stuff like a lot of like 80s music and 80s TV shows and people talking about them. There's like whole YouTube channels. I wish I remember the name of this one guy. I feel bad now, but he basically covers like 80s music and breaks it down. But it's a cool little watch. It's a harmonious blend, they say, of the 1978 PRX design and the DSO digital quartz caliber 4012. So they're trying to do hybrid from there before. It's available in 35 and 40 millimeter options in a whole variety of colors, it says. So I'm pretty sure more colors will come out. And I think it's pretty cool. I think the 35 millimeter one's pretty awesome too. So if you're a smaller wristed person and you want to wear something, and I especially think that's cool, like if you know, wore long sleeves and maybe jackets at work, or you had, more of a tight sleeve, like, tighter cuffs. I think that would be a cool thing to wear. And I think it would show a little bit of your personality when you're at work, but still keep it classy. So it's 100 meters of water resistance. That's perfectly fine. I think that's good. It says weight 134, so maybe that's grams, but I'm pretty sure it's not 134 pounds. And then 10.9 millimeters thick. That is super thin. Length 39.5, width 40. So I'm thinking they're saying the lug to lug is 39. 316 nail stainless steel, 12 millimeter lugs, but you know how that is. You're not going to get 20 millimeters with that. And then it's got a scratch resistant sapphire crystal. All the stuff going on. I like that they tell you the battery on here. It's a 2025. That's pretty standard. So now you can go stock up on batteries and you get this thing and just change them out yourself if you want to. Then it tells you about the strap here. It's gray, interchangeable. I'd like to be able to see it's got a butterfly clasp with push buttons. I'd like to see that quick release. I'm pretty sure it's standard, but it's always nice to see. And one other thing I noticed that TISO does, they give you a user manual. So I find that to be pretty handy. Starting to realize that tonight's show might be a little bit shorter than normal because I don't have a second person to bounce conversation off of. Usually I got Alex here, and it's you can't tell I miss you, buddy. I wish you were here, but I totally understand. But that's a TISO PRX digital. I think it's pretty cool that TISO's branching out the PRX a little bit. I mean, obviously they must have had a PRX blade back in the day. They're talking about having one in the 70s, or being not a homage, but harken back to the 1970s. So I think that's pretty cool, and I like it. 375. I mean, I'd like to be able to get my hands on one and feel how it's made, but I've handled enough TISOs to know, while the PRX is not something I would personally buy, the regular PRX, I've handled one. It felt like it was really well made. The finishing looked really nice. It was pretty cool. I've heard some, here or there's on the bracelet and stuff like that, but at $375, I mean, I know some people will think you need perfection, but there's watch models that are way more than that aren't perfect, so 375 the TISO PRX. It's pretty fun. And let's take a look at this gold one again. It's pretty cool. I like it. Fun little watch for $375. Apologies for the sniffles because I have not. I think my allergies are getting to me. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about, and this one I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of up in the air about. I think for me, I would like to see a different colorway, maybe. But that one, the watch we're talking about here is the two new Seiko Alpinist GMTs. And first things first, I don't know how this picture looks on your screen, but to me, man, it is very pixelated. So I don't know what Seiko did with the pictures. And when I look at the black one, it's the same way. It's the pictures aren't great, but I really, really, really dig this watch. And I'm going off a couple things here. I've seen a couple Alpinist in real life. I've handled enough Seikos to know that dial, I'm telling you, man, that dial is going to be crazy. I bet it's just going to be super snazzy. But you can see right here, the Seiko SPB 377. They have the second variation over here. The black one should be popping up. I don't know why the internet's taking so long. There you go. and that's the SPB 379. Now, there's some things I would like to critique on this, but let's go back to the blue one because I like looking at the blue one. I'm gonna have a drink of tea because so my voice doesn't wear out. Plus, it'll give the blue one time to load. All right, so here we go. SPB 377. So it's part of the Prospex line. You can see the little X right there, the land one. Some stuff I like about this. I'm a sucker for this. Um, it's I don't know. I'm not a big fan of leather straps, but I know a lot of people love them. You come over here and you have the 6R54 Alpha movement. So the 6R54 Alpha, it's part of the nicer 6R series calibers that Seiko produces. I like the little bit of finishing on back here. I like the little bit of gold. I think that adds a level of class to it. Always 20 bar sapphire crystal, which I don't know enough about the previous Alpinist to know that if they had sapphire crystals, but one thing I know a lot of people gripe about is that Seiko doesn't give you sapphire crystal. So on this one, you do. Let's see. They talk about the mechanical GMT, highly legible. Now, I think for me, there's just some wins, right? Like I feel like, the three primary colors, blue, yellow, and red. And I feel like that's always going to be because they contrast against each other, right? But I feel like you can still do it wrong, and I feel like Seiko's got the blue, red, and white thing nailed down. Oh, we have a viewer. Hey, thanks, Rob. I'm a salty collector. Way to hold down the fort. What do I think about the date window? Oh man. Oh man. Let me think. Uh, yeah, it's interesting. I would have picked a different number than the 6. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what. If Rob wants to come in, Rob, you got my personal stuff. Shoot me your oh, I think I have it actually. Hold on 1 second. I'm talking about this. I think the date window could have been an awful lot better, if I'm being honest. I like the fact that it's darker. Number one, I like the fact that it's not white. I think white would have threw it off a little bit. Um, I think, I mean, at this point, you guys know me. I mean, I could easily go without that date. Um, um, I could easily go without that date. I think the symmetry of it all by itself would have been perfect. Um, you know, the the hand could block the 6, the date window sometimes. Man, a no date version of this would have been so good. But I think the whole point of having a GMT watch is to be able to have a date. Hey Rob, just so you know, if you want to hop on, I emailed you the link. So if you want to, if you got time, you want to hop on, by all means hop on. Enjoy and welcome the conversation. And I can't have my cell phone too close to this thing or else it'll mess up the microphone. But to answer his Rob question, I think that date window, there's a lot of stuff going on this on the dial anyways, right? I mean, you have, if you work your way from the bezel all the way out, 24 hour, you have the cardinal north, you have your timer on the inside. I love the indices. I love the hands. Everything works really well. And I think rationally as well, the majority of watch enthusiasts would complain if there wasn't a date. So, oh, great. Awesome. Rob's going to hop on a second. Yeah, I sent you the invite, Rob, to your email. Just hop in. I'd love to have it. We can even back up a little bit and talk about a couple other pieces. I don't care. I'm sure Alex and Cody will both appreciate it. It's going to be Rob from Mushi Watch Straps, who is a sponsor of my podcast as well. And Rob's a good guy. Can't wait to talk to him. But yeah, so the date wheel, not the greatest. But I understand that you have to have it. And I think they did the very best job they could do. I think it's not super distracting. I think I like the date window more than I like the Prospex X up there. You know, like I, Seiko kills me. Like for those of you that have websites, you know, you have the lighthouse, the light box function where you click on a picture and it blows up. So here's another piece of free advice, Seiko. You want to hire me to build your website, I'll do it. I can go and spare Squarespace and do it in 5 minutes. I'd be able to zoom in on your picture because it stinks too because you should be able to Seiko should want people to be able to see their, you know, beauty of their watches up close and personal. I would have gotten rid. I know. Speaking of Alex, shout out Alex again. Um, this is too much text for Alex. Alex would lose his mind over this text, and I mean the literal text. So I mean, you could have got rid of the automatic 3 days. I mean, I'm pretty sure we all know it's an automatic. I guess maybe keep the 20 bar, drop the GMT down, and put the X above the GMT, and eliminate the automatic 3 days. So it would have been X GMT 20 bar, and then you would just had Seiko on top. And I think that would have been, I think that would have been pretty cool. Uh, but I think there's more to like with this timepiece than there is to not like. I mean, you take a look here; they give you the ability to zoom in here, but I mean, it's relative. You know, so you have your cardinal directions, blah 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 blah. I didn't, if I'm being honest, I haven't even had really a chance. I'm pretty sure this is an internal rotating bezel, and it's probably similar to the SNM035 that I had back in the day. Let me check. It's I had an SM035 and I had an internal rotating bezel for the compass, which is pretty cool. It doesn't say, and I'm not going to download the user's manual, but yeah, they could have put some more information on this website, Seiko. You could have done yourself some favors and some better pictures and some more information that's not on there because I'm pretty sure that's an interior rotating bezel. Now I will tell you that if this is an interior rotating bezel, because that's the same position it was on my SNM035, I'm almost positive it was either up here or it was down here. Now that was an older watch. Um, it was really, really touchy to get that crown to operate that interior rotating bezel back to north at the 12 o'clock position. Like I had like, you know, the arrows right here, I had to like twist it down hard to get it to line up. If I was too soft, it would go past it a little bit. I have to go all the way around again. So it's just something to think about. But I think all in all, it's a pretty good looking watch. I can't really complain about it too much. But yeah, so let's when Rob will hop on in a second, I want to get his take on some stuff. So let's just cover what we covered again real quick. So we talked about the Oris Aquas 400, or sorry, 4,000 meter Oris Aquas Pro. I think all in all, pretty snazzy watch. Just could have, you know, they could have just done the marketing a little bit better. I think they average, you know, the website a little bit better, some better pictures, show the watch being used in some environments. And then we had the Tissot PRX digital. I think of the three, strangely might be my favorite. Sorry if you heard that noise. My coaster fell off my table. I'm drinking some tea. It's chai. It's pretty tasty. I don't know if you should drink it this late at night, but I'm pretty sure that it will not cause me any sleepless nights. Then we had the SPB 377 and the SPB 379. So I'd be interested to know if anyone's watching, like which one do you like better? I think the blue one works for me. So this is the point I wanted to make. Okay, let's share the black one. So the 379. Now I like this, but man, this and people are gonna punch me in the face, but this with a silver dial with black indices. Oh man. Oh, with like an international orange instead of the red. And I know people be like, well, it's kind of like a Explorer 2. I get it. But I mean, come on. You know, it's like we all know that it kind of looks like it anyways in some general ways, but it's not exactly perfect. You know what I mean? So I don't know. The Aquas Pro 4,000 meter, the Tissot PRX digital. and the new Seiko Alpinist, the 379 and the 377. I think all three of the watches are pretty cool, but I think there's some inconsistencies with two of the companies when it comes to how they're going to advertise their stuff. So I don't know what anyone else thinks. Are there, if there's any questions for anyone watching, they're more than welcome to ask away. If not, we're going to go to the topic of the day, which if you saw the thumbnail, it was drowning in plastic, right? So drowning in plastic, what does that mean? Well, some news came out recently, and Simon over at Escapement 24 covered it in a short little video. Did an excellent job. Great job to Simon. I like Simon's. If you guys haven't checked him out, Escapement 24. Simon does a really, really good job. I appreciate him because he's level headed. It's really a professional yet friendly way that he does his content. Some wonderful photography, some wonderful videography, and he isn't what I would call one of these like drama people that are like trying to stir up drama all the time with watch stuff. It's just pretty matter of fact and does a pretty good job putting some insightful stuff. Simon wasn't feeling well in his video. I'm glad you're feeling better, buddy, and hope you continue to get better. But keep up the great work. He had a great little video on there. But today, the story came out September 1st, which was yesterday, that somebody's up to something. So shout out to Watch Time, article there by Robert Ruger. I hope I'm saying your name right, Roger Ruger, or it might be Ruger, but he had a interesting little short article. It's very short, that I guess several large Swiss newspapers. Now, I'm going to feign ignorance right here. Well, I'm not going to feign it. This is ignorance. Um, I didn't know there were several large Swiss newspapers. Now I'm interested, like how many Swiss newspapers are there and how many of them are large? But and he's thinking many more in the world. An interesting piece of, oh, nice. Let's add to the stream. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? Sorry, I had to button up a few things here at the house.
Oh, listen, hey, I appreciate it, man. Let's give her a proper government cheese time welcome to Rob from Mushi Watch Straps. Rob's at this point, I would say a somewhat old friend of my podcast and a friend of Alex. You've talked to Alex, and just been around the horn. But thanks for joining tonight.
Hey, anytime, man.
So I just started talking about, now real quick. It's our show, so we can do whatever we want. Would you like to go back and have your 2 cents about the 3 previous covered watches? Because I'd be more than happy to hear your opinion.
Okay, so you'll have to bear with me. I caught the Alpinist, but I didn't catch the other two.
Oh, well, here we go, buddy. You ready?
Yes. I have some thoughts on this.
The Oris Aquas Pro 4,000 meters, right? So I'll give you my paraphrase version of what I had complaints about.
Okay.
And then we'll let you go off. And mine isn't so much about the piece. I think the piece is cool. And like I was telling my wife tonight, I think dive watches are basically the SUVs of watches now, right? It's like you have an SUV, and then now you need the roided out SUV. You need the Expedition, the what is Lexus RX, 7 whatever, and then you have the the Expedition, the Armada,
Right.
the Toyota. What's the Sequoia? You need all these big ones. So I think that if you're a watch company that has a dive watch, you now eventually have to have this big mammoth thing along with the Omega Ultra Deep and the Rolex Deep Sea. And I showed those earlier. Now, my only issue with it was I hit them for their technical writing. Like the first time you use RSS, you should spell it out first and then put it in parentheses so we all know what it stands for. I had to look at the picture to find it. And then it's just homie going to catch the subway. There's nothing on Oris's website about them doing anything super cool with the watch. And that was my gripe, because if you go to Omega's site and Rolex's site, they show the watch doing cool stuff and describe it. But
yes,
love to know your take.
Okay. So for viewers out there, I can be very opinionated. I had texted a buddy when I saw this, and I simply said, "Invicta, hold my beer." Like, and if Invicta is your thing, I fully support that. But I'm telling you right now, this thing I think is borderline comical. Like the Omega Ultra Deep, like you said, kind of, Jason, with the website, you have it with a purpose. Like it's got a whole like documentary video behind it, strapping it down to go
Yeah.
down to the Marion Trench, or what is the trench there.
Yeah. Mariana's Trench.
Yeah, it like it's a whole thing, right? So
Yes.
that makes sense. The Rolex, again, that's I don't know. That one's a bit comical. That 50 mil
Yeah.
titanium thing, like that's just for the subset of collectors that want a safe queen and say that they have it.
Yeah.
I've been to a few ADs and asked them if they've seen it in person, in their shop or whatever. And a couple of the ADs haven't even gotten one yet. So
Oh, wow.
I don't even know if Rolex takes that thing serious. Um, but this right here, this Oris, when I saw this, like, this makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, they already have what I would consider some crazy, they've got a model that has, I don't know if you've seen, it's got basically a recess in the crystal
Oh, yeah.
that allows water to go through, and it has the depth sensor and everything in
Yep.
there.
It's right. When I was doing the research earlier, I found it. Yeah. You keep talking.
Yeah,
I'll
so
find
so
it
like with that,
right
like
there.
that,
The depth
yeah,
gauge.
that 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 is a crazy watch. That's a cool, proper, crazy watch. But
Yeah.
do you need one that's like 2 or 3 times as crazy as that? I mean, that already some would consider is kinda gimmicky, but I think it's
Yeah.
cool. It's got an actual kind of complication with it where it can sense the pressure on the crystal and all that stuff, and, like, that is a cool piece. But
Yeah,
this
and
new one.
I'll tell you what, when I went here and, I was researching them because when I first started my watch stuff, I didn't know enough, and I was a little too opinionated on Oris, especially about the Roberto Clemente piece. But then when I did my research, I was like, no, man, they work with the foundation, they give back to the community, and that led me to find out about the it the flights of I forgot what it's called, but where they do the flights to get medical assistance to people in faraway places. And then I learned about the Seafoam one where they New York Harbor and the oysters and they're teaching
Yep,
kids how to do that stuff. And then recently with the Hank Aaron one, I was like, okay, Oris, I've learned over time and because I've only been doing this for like 3 or 4 years. I mean, I'm not as experienced as like you or even Alex is, or heck, even Cody. I'm still learning as I go. And I was kind of wrong about Oris. And so when I went to look at this 4,000 meter deep one, I was like, well, w- why isn't there anything cool on there that this thing's actually done? Because they do it with everything else.
right, and
And
that's what I'm saying. It
yeah,
makes no sense.
yeah,
I love Oris. I'm not trying to bag on the brand. Fully I'm a supporter of Oris. I think they do amazing stuff. And if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I've got 2 grand I want to blow, and I want a nice, I want like, or I want my nice first watch, like above $1,000." Sometimes I direct them towards Oris because I really do think that they do amazing work. Like you say, with the pointer dates and everything, those are amazing watches. I would own one. One of my favorites, besides the Roberto Clemente, is the bronze with the bronze dial. Like,
oh
I
yeah,
love that watch. Love it.
yeah, it's
But
beautiful.
this one, this Aquas Pro 4000, doesn't make any sense.
So it's a thumbs down for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's a definite thumbs down.
Yeah, and
Definite.
to me, it's like I know what you mean because I feel that way. I've learned that kind of about watches, right? Like I have a Shogun right now, and I had at one time I had like 5 or 6 samurais, and I sold them all. And I feel like the Shogun was an elevation of the samurai, and I know the original samurais were titanium, and the Shogun is titanium. But I feel like the Shogun's a little bit bigger. It feels it's I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it, but to me, it was like the natural elevation. But sometimes I think that people just elevate, they don't really need to, right?
Yeah,
Like it's like, well, you like the one, the depth gauge one. That thing's freaking cool, man.
it's awesome.
And
It
like,
is.
and no one knows about it.
Nobody. They don't. They
Yeah.
should. They should have some promo videos, some whole little, campaign about that watch. There we go.
True.
Um, so yeah, they should totally pump that watch out, but they don't. And this 4,000 meter thing, the dial, I feel like they tried to go down a little bit the Omega route, with the waves and stuff, but it doesn't look like they executed it correctly. It just kind of
No,
looks a little cheap
no, I hear you.
on
Yeah,
a
that's
cheap watch.
yeah. Well, it's not. It's definitely not. What was it? $6,200.
Yeah,
I
exactly, and
looked
that's
at.
what I'm saying. It just seems nuts.
Okay, so the second watch is not $6,200.
Okay. Here we go.
The Tissot PRX Digital. Now I picked the gold one
Yeah.
only because after your guys' thumping of the Florida Gators last night, I feel like a gold watch was in order.
There we
Oh,
go.
also real quick, shout out to Justin. Thanks for tuning in, Justin. We appreciate it. Justin said Mushy Team Daddy, so he's saying hi.
There we go, Justin.
But yeah, here we go.
So without knowing your thoughts on this, I will say I like this watch. I like it. I don't love it, but I like it a lot. I love the PRX, the digital
Mhm.
one. I think, hey, kudos to Tissot for trying to cash grab a little bit, get some of the hipsters out there. There's going to be a ton of under 25-year-olds that are rocking this thing
Yeah.
around college campuses, and more power to them. Like, great watch, great looking watch. Um, I'd probably wear it at forfeit. What is that? 375.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, granted, you always have like a 20% sale floating about somewhere on
Yeah.
the internet. Like, I think it's fine. I mean,
Bro, if you hit up any of the exchanges, you're gonna get that military, Navy exchange, post exchange discount.
yeah,
You're not gonna pay tax on it. They got Tissot, out the yin yang up there in the exchange. So, but no, what you said about 25-year-olds, bro. Like I've been like a harper about this. Is that I think it's important to have decent stuff at that price point because A, you want to bring young people in, right?
yes, yes,
And B, like, bro, I always look at this stuff from being like an E1,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, think about it.
people,
You're like,
yeah,
you want a cool watch, and you don't know, you want something that's got kind of a cool look, but you want something that's different than the Casio that everybody else is wearing. And maybe you just, made E2 or E3 and you want to
yeah,
flex on some of the E1s because they've got the Casio digital. So this is it. This is that next step up, of like, oh yeah, well, you can have your $20 whatever Casio. I've got my couple $100 Tissot.
yeah. And I think that's yeah, man. I mean, because I saw the gold one, right? And it's
Yeah,
$100 more, right? But it's
yeah,
like, like $75 more. But like, it's Friday night. You've been busting your butt all week. You don't have duty the next day, and you're gonna go out with your boys, right?
yeah.
And this is like a conversation starter,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
This is a watch that somebody looks at and they're like, "Wait, what is that? What's going on there?"
Yeah. And I
And
think that like the nostalgia thing's really in right now, especially for the 80s. I mean, I've noticed it everywhere.
oh yeah, for sure. I see it all over the place. Tons of people wearing digitals. I love it. I wear digitals, whether it's a G-Shock. My only thing is like from the enthusiast side of things.
Mhm.
Um, I have sometimes a hard time disconnecting the value, being like value driven versus being just driven by your heart, if you will, that whole uh, conflict that you always have between your
Yeah.
head and your heart. So like my head says this is overpriced because I can get like a Casio AE 1200, the Royale, super popular watch.
Yeah.
I can get that for $25, and that's got a 10-year battery. It's got a good screen, multiple things going on, a world timer, chronograph,
Yeah.
all this stuff, alarms for $25.
Yep.
But then the heart, like you say, like you just look at this and you're like, that's a cool watch.
Yeah.
And you want to wear it, you want to wear it. So I think that's where this watch falls into is you can't look at it as I mean, dude, I've looked at Omega Digitals, vintage Omega Digital watches that are more than this. So I completely understand spending silly money on digital watches. This is a win for me.
Yeah, I just picked one up not too long ago. Speaking of silly, but anyways, that's for another show. No, it's a win for me too, man. I think it's super cool. I think it's super fun. Um, and like I mentioned earlier, I've handled the PRX and I've handled enough TSOs to know that I have a funny feeling it's going to be really well built. It's going to be well made. It's going to be well finished.
Yep.
Um, I think they would put a little bit of thought into that bracelet. So, and it said the bracelet has quick disconnects. It doesn't show you how, but that tells me that they're probably going to make, because they make their own straps. They're going to probably make a strap for it,
Yep.
which means someone else is going to make a strap for it,
Yep.
and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I think it's a win for me too, and I think it's a man. If we were having like a Miami Vice party or something, or a weird science party,
Yes.
yeah, definitely. I
Yeah,
definitely would go score it.
I think that's going to sell like hotcakes. I mean, seriously, anybody, you're going to get collectors that want a niche piece, a funky piece that are going to get it. You're going to get the 20-year-olds that want that nice watch. It's going to appeal to a variety of people.
Oh yeah, I think so too. All right, so the next watch, you caught this one, but I still want to get your thoughts on it. It is the new line of not the new line, the two new models of the Seiko Alpinist line.
So, I first and foremost am an unashamed lover of GMTs. So, GMT is my favorite complication. I think it's by far the most useful, whether it's a true GMT or a Flyers GMT or a Collars or / office, whatever terminology you want to use. I love GMTs. This I go back and forth with. I feel like again, this is that head and that heart type thing because I want to love it, but it's got a lot going on it. That dial is just jam packed with text. It is just like the automatic 3 days. I don't get it. And mind you,
no, you're right. You're right.
I have a watch that tells me how long the power reserve is on the dial, and I love it. So I'm not necessarily saying that it's a bad thing that it's on there, but the watch that I have, it just has that text and that's it. And there's nothing else. Like I don't have 4 other lines of text and logos and colors and everything else going on there. So if they were going to put automatic 3 days, then they might have should have left off the 20 bar or the GMT, something. There needs to be some give and take, right?
No, I think you and Alex were separated at birth because the one thing Alex cannot stand is a metric butt ton of text on the dial.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So you've got this whole just glob of text. Then you've got Seiko, and they're like, crap, we've got, this is in the prospects line, so we've got to put our X on there. We've got to put the logo, rather than just slap it on the crown and have a signed crown and leave that, call that good. They're like, we got to put it on the dial. So let's just shove it in here. And they're like, well, crap, what about a date? Okay, well, let's shove that over here at the 4:30. And it just seriously feels like they went to the parts bin, started grabbing stuff because they knew it would sell. And they were like, okay, give me one of those. Okay. Yeah. Let me jam that in there. Grab me one of those. And then this is what they ended up with. Because
like Justin says, it feels, he's echoing your statement where Justin says it kind of feels lazy.
Yeah. It's just like, they know that the Alpinist has a following and they're like, okay, so we're going to take out the, what do you call it? Or actually, no, they still left it in there. I was going to say they were going to take out the compass ring, but they left that in there. It just, honestly, I want to love it, but I just don't think I can get there. It's just got too much going on.
Yeah. Then you have the black version.
I love the numerals. So I'm kind of a stickler when it comes to numeral, like text, fonts and things. And I adore those numerals.
They're perfect.
Those are perfect. 3, 6, 9, 12, like the 24, like the 24 ring around it. Like again, the numerals, the Seiko logo. Yeah. See, that would be cool, Justin. How awesome would that be, Jason, if Seiko was like, okay, rather than an Alpinist, rather than an SKX or the 5KX, which I own one of those, those GMTs. Rather than an existing model, we're going to come out with this new model that you've never seen before and put the GMT in it. How cool would that be?
Yeah, I know. Like maybe a new Flight Master with a. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, really, exactly.
The
They've got
Flight Master 3.
they've got so many options, and to think like they could come out with something completely new, completely non-derivative of something else.
I feel like you know, like when you look at the dial, I feel like they could have got rid of the automatic 3 days, dropped the GMT, and then dropped the Prospex X where the GMT is,
Yes.
and you would have had, I think, a slightly cleaner dial.
Oh,
I think.
I would definitely be much more of a fan of that. Like you say, the GMT, take that out, take out the 3 days, the X goes down to the bottom, and magically that dial looks 10 times better. I still
Yeah.
think it's a bit of a mishmash of parts, but it would definitely be better.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's what I call a meh for me.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, is it bad? No, but is it good? Good enough to throw down, hundreds and hundreds of dollars? I don't know, because it's going to be more than that 5KX series because it's got
Yeah.
the 6R movement. So I don't know if it's, at that point, now you're going to get into the micro world where you can get a lot of the micro brands that use that Miyota or even the same movement as the Seiko, that NH movement, and you're going to get better design at the same price, if not cheaper.
Yeah. Justin says they love playing the watch game with bumpers. They're afraid to throw a gutter ball. But you know what? You know what I'll say about Seiko though, and I agree with Justin in a way, but I think they got so many SKUs it doesn't matter. They if you go look at the Seiko website, their SKUs are there's a ton of them. So
yeah. Well, and you think about it, every other week there's a new release.
Yeah. So maybe there's biding time. Maybe Justin, they're building the Flight Master 3, and we're gonna get some cool stuff. That'd be cool. But
there's hope.
Yeah, there's hope. So we're gonna move on to the topic. The thumbnail was drowning in plastic, right? So I kind of did an intro before you hopped on. I was talking about it. By Roger, I don't know if it's Roger Ruger or Roger Ruger, but from Watch Time had a little article where they talked about there was these cryptic advertisements in several large Swiss newspapers, and I was like, man, I didn't know there were several large Swiss newspapers, but I guess it makes sense. And he thinks there might have been some more international ones. I don't know anybody that gets the New York Times or anything crazy like that, so I don't know if it came out anywhere else. But the rumor mill's going. It's only been like 24 hours, and the rumor mill's going that there's going to be a Swatch 50 fathoms, Blancpain 50 fathoms. So, I know the history of the 50 fathoms. I know it was one of the arguably first 3 dive watches in 1953, and there's companies that lay claim to, being the first by minutes or whatever. And I've had my own discourse about the whole MoonSwatch thing. But what are your first thoughts? I think it's great because, and I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, I full disclosure, having Alex on the stream gives me a whole bolstering of like a dude who's really been in the watch game for a long time, and I feel like you just saved my. I mean, I have it, but you saved my bacon in some ways, Rob, by coming in, because I know for a fact like you're like deep in the watch game, like Alex is. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this.
You could say that I have the sickness. I've had it for a long time. So as somebody who likes the Speedmaster more than I'd like to admit sometimes, full disclosure, I own multiple MoonSwatches. So let the record show that I am a fan. I think it's an awesome, awesome piece. I actually have talked to a couple different people that have indicated there was a collector that I know who's relatively high up in the collecting realm of Blancpain, and they were at some sort of an event, and they were told that originally the plan was basically 50-50. It was either going to be the 50 fathoms or it was going to be the MoonWatch, the Speedmaster.
Oh, wow.
And and ultimately they went with the Speedmaster and broke the internet, right? And basically broke the world. And yes, exactly what Justin said. Like the MoonSwatch is not serviceable. It doesn't make sense, but it is freakishly awesome in its own
Yeah.
little world. If you know what it is and what it's intending to do, then it makes a little bit more sense. It still doesn't make a ton of sense because you're buying a $300 bioceramic or
Yeah.
plastic watch.
Yeah.
Call it what it will, right? So, but I freaking love those watches, and
Yeah.
for me, so I own a Speedmaster. I again have a huge history of love for that watch, and if somebody was to come to me and they're like, "Hey, the Speedmaster, I want one, but I'm afraid it's too big, or I don't know how it's going to wear," and this, like, I can tell somebody go buy a MoonSwatch and try it out. It's a cheap rental, or whatever cheap way to enter the
Yeah.
game. See, because it's a one for one, like off the same mold and everything,
Yeah.
size wise. So that one makes sense. But now here, the topic at hand, with the Blancpain, that one, honestly,
I got questions about that. Yeah, I'll give you my opinion real quick.
I'll be
Um,
honest. Okay, so to me, the MoonSwatch makes sense. The bioceramic
yeah.
MoonSwatch makes sense, right? I do not think that the demand is there outside of the watch community for the Blancpain. Like, will they sell like crazy? Yes. But the Moon Swatch is perfect because it's based off of the Moon Watch, and that watch gets noticed,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Like that watch and its design is timeless, classic, iconic, whatever adjective you want to use to describe it, but it is something. The Blancpain 50 Fathoms is an amazing watch, but in no way, shape, or form is it something that will stop people outside of collector groups in their tracks to go, "Hey, that's a cool looking watch."
Yeah.
There's a ton of iterations of it, um, and I wonder about a plastic dive watch. That's
That was
where
that was going to be my exact statement.
I,
Is
I,
like,
I wonder about the usability of that, because again, the plastic moon swatch makes sense. You're not going diving. I'm not going in a rough and tumble environment with my plastic moon swatch. I'm
yeah,
wearing it to work. I'm wearing it around in Vegas or something stupid. Like, it's a fun watch. But
yeah,
now they're gonna say this is a plastic dive watch.
yeah. That was the first thing. So, for me, I Justin talks about how he would have loved it. They would have had him if they were available. And that's exactly what happened to me, man. They weren't available out here. And if the funny thing is, I mean, my wife has, I mean, that my wife has her own little watch collection, right?
Yep.
Probably better than mine. And we were gonna road trip up to King of Prussia from here in Virginia. We were gonna go up there. And I told her, I said, something's telling me not to do it. And sure enough, man, they weren't available. My buddy T, when he did his road trip with his family, he went to like Maine, and his wife let him stop at King of Prussia. She let him stop. They were in New York City visiting. He went to the Swatch store in the Empire State Building. He went to all these places. They never had him. And and that was it. And then when the part that killed me was when they said, we're gonna have these online. And me and my wife were like, oh, cool. That's when we didn't go. That's really why we didn't go. We're like, oh, they're gonna be online. We'll get them when they come online. We'll buy one. She wanted the Venus. I wanted the Mercury. I thought it was cool. And then, like, I don't know, like 6 hours later, they go by, oh, we're not going to do it online. I was like, that's it. I'm done. You know what I mean? Because it's like you say, the heart and you have your heart and your mind, right?
Yeah.
But the one thing that my mind tells me is that my time is more valuable. I know how much I make an hour, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know how much I make an hour outside of work. And you're not going to play with my time like that, Swatch. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Like, you're just not. And and to each their own. To each their own. If you want to queue up, if you want to resell, if you want to do all that stuff, whatever. Um, America is a capitalist society, whether you like it or not. But my time is more valuable than that. I'll invest my time somewhere else and my money somewhere else. And like Justin said, the scalpers killed it for him, and the colors were great. And he's right, man. It was awesome, right? You could tell it was well thought out. But
Yeah.
to echo your sentiment, the first thing I thought about was, I want to see if you can take this thing in the water. Now that one speaks for itself. But the other thing I think is I've looked at Blanc ponds because you look at all the, you try to learn as much as you can about like the standards of the industry, the bulwarks, the foundation of what's laid down stuff. And now Omega has so many stinking SKUs that you have, moon watches or Speedmasters that are from like, I don't know what, like 6 grand up to like 60 grand or whatever, based off the precious metal ones.
Yeah, nowadays you got over 6 figures.
Yeah, you have the really, really fancy ones, right? Expensive.
Yeah.
And it's cool to me. But then um I looked at the I looked at the 50 fathoms and I think like they start at like 11. Like that's starting.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a hell of a jump
So yeah,
for
to
someone
get
you're gonna get in on a plastic watch, right?
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's a total niche market, and I think if you were to actually sit down, I don't know who D is, but D, you're
Yeah.
crazy. To Speedmaster, that being your top 10, you're crazy, man. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
I'd like to know
so
that top 10.
yeah, exactly. But the 50 Fathoms is a total amazing watch in its own right, but it is niche, and is a large part because of the price. To have a five figure entry it's not something that a lot of people are going to jump to. I mean, that's more than
Yeah.
a sub. That's more than you could buy a couple Seamaster 300s.
Yeah.
There, you can go down the list of iconic dive watches and get multiples or at least one solid one before you get to the 50 fathoms. And
Yeah.
is there a collector, niche? Yes. Is it a cool watch? Yes. But in no way, shape, or form is it something that's so iconic that I mean, if it was so iconic, they wouldn't have gone under during the quartz crisis and had to get resurrected by be there back in whatever it was, the 80s or the early
Yeah.
90s when he resurrected them. So, I mean, that goes to show you it was so iconic that it went out of business.
Justin said 5 doxes.
Yeah, see, there you go, a doxa. Like, give me the moons, or give me the plastic bioceramic doxa, even though they're not part
Oh
of a
yeah.
Swatch group.
Which doxa? It's the 600T is the one that's all angly samurai-esque. The 600T, right? It's got the real angular case with the sharp lines.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a 600. That's
Okay,
the doxa I really want because it's got like that samurai thing with sharp lines.
right.
Kind of reminds me of a ship. But I asked D for his top 10. He might be typing them up, so if he'll come in. But
Let's see it, D. I'm curious now because
yeah,
it's an
I'm curious, D. Top
master.
10. So I work around quite a bit of engineers, right? And yeah, Justin said yeah for the 600. So my brain didn't fail me that time. I work around a lot of real engineers, right? Like engineering degrees. And those people love the Moonwatch, bro.
I'm telling you,
They
when,
love the Speedmaster. They love the Moonwatch. Um, and it's one of those things like heart over brain, right? And I
yeah,
think for those people that are engineers, that is heart and brains because you know think about it, man. Like you're a mechanical engineer, you're an electrical engineer, whatever, and you're part of the group of people that get people to the freaking moon, man, outer space.
right.
That's sweet, right? Like it's
I'm telling you, we could have a whole episode just about the Speedmaster. Um, but the 50 Fathoms, one thing that also gives me pause that I need to bring up about is Marathon. So you're a
mm,
fan of Marathon,
that
right?
one.
I know, right? So I've got a couple of the Navigators and the plastic resin cases or whatever.
Yeah,
I have had on my original Navigator. It's one of the OG ones before they went with the sapphire
yeah,
crystal, the
yep,
steel crown. I've had 2 issues with the crown and the stem busting off
yeah,
that had to go back to Marathon to get fixed. And I initially I thought of that when I heard about this Blancpain, kind of collab coming up. It's like, well, wait a second. I've had a non-dive watch, but a plastic watch that's kind of supposed to be rough and tumble or whatever. And I love that watch, but I've had issues with that crown and that stem, and it's got the asymmetrical case that's fully guarded and everything.
Yeah.
So I worry about something like that because, again, with the Speedy and the MoonSwatch, you're not going to try and rough and tumble that thing and bust off the pushers and whatnot and take it underwater. But with the 50 fathoms, I would assume you're going to get some people trying to do that. And I wonder about the threading on the stem and the crown material and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, it's a legit concern. And I have my wife gifted me a Marathon Pilot's Navigator now. It's one of the newer ones with the sapphire crystal, but I read the whole book. I know the history behind it. It was made for Air Force high altitude bombers, et cetera, et cetera. And the crystal designed not to pop off at high altitudes, like a dive watch crystal may pop off at high altitudes. And yeah, I really hope whatever they do, they fix. I don't know, man. I think that if they do the same model that they did with the MoonSwatch, they're going to attract, I hate to say the wrong crowd, but they're not going to attract the crowd that's been paying their bills for a long time. I think it's going to, and I know Swatch Group owns Amiga, but I think there's going to be a moment where there's a coming to the head where Omega is going to be like, yo, this is, and I know it's Blanc Pond now, but I'm just saying, like, there's going to be some dents in the armor of some of these brands, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not, Amiga doesn't want people outside their doors fighting. They don't want people threatening other people saying, get in line. They don't want anyone to feel a level of disappointment because they can't get something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'll tell you what, man, like the majority of people that I know that are into watches, like they buy, like, so here's the thing. We put our money where our mouth is. We go out and buy stuff. We experience stuff. We talk about stuff. We post pictures on Instagram, giving them free advertising, free marketing for their watches, right? But at a certain point, the relationship's imbalanced. And those of us that have the ability to go do are not going to do for a brand that it feels like there's, we already know they're taking, but I mean, it's like taking and taking.
Right. Yeah.
D,
Honestly.
D, hurry up with that list, D. D said his list is coming.
Oh, here we go. I'm
Top
curious.
10. I know
Yeah,
he should be sending them in one at a time so we can just talk about his list. Justin said that they wish they had the Speedmaster reissue that ran from 1990 to 2003 is what he wanted to see again. I'm not familiar with that. But the thing is, there's so many Speedmasters.
Yes.
Rob, how do you do it?
So that's part of the fun of it. I have a book that is called the MoonWatch. I think it's called the MoonWatch Only or something like that. I'll have to look at the title. It's no joke. Like, probably 400 pages. I mean, it is a whole Bible of information about the Speedmaster, and I find myself constantly seeing new aspects of it, and it's such an immersive product line. Some people say it's too big, and I say, yeah, but in a weird way, that's actually awesome that they're able to do it that much, because you can come to me, Jason, you could text me tomorrow and be like, dude, you know what? All your gushing about Speedmasters sold me. Help me find a Speedmaster that's got a yellow dial. It's got this, and I'd be like, all right, let's see what we can find. Chances are we might be able to find it for you. Is it going to be cheap? Possibly not. If it's like a super rare limited edition, this and that, whatever. But chances are there is a Speedmaster in some fashion for you, regardless of whoever you are. Again, it doesn't have to be the MoonWatch, because if we're really talking Speedmaster in the family, we've got, the Mark series, the Mark 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. There's a 4.5. I mean, there is just so much out there. There's automatics, there's manuals, there's the coaxial, there's, you name it. There's titanium, there's ceramic. Whatever you want, there's something out there for you. And that's what I find so awesome about it. I mean, I'm a purist as far as the MoonWatch is concerned, but I don't have hate for it. And I know like when one of the issues that some of the Speedmaster collectors were worried about was, would this lessen the perception of the Moonwatch, of Omega having this quote unquote cheap plastic watch floating about there with the name on there. And we've obviously seen all the data to suggest that it has had no impact on the real Speedmaster. If anything, it's I had heard that since the MoonSwatch, again, this is like unsubstantiated or whatever, but I had heard that Omega sales for the Speedmaster jumped 50%
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
because of the MoonSwatch.
Yeah.
Because people go buy their $300 cheap plastic thing and go, holy crap, this is a cool watch. This little pink watch or blue watch is cool. And then they do a cursory search on Google and start going down the rabbit hole of the history and the all of that. And next thing you know, they're sold and they're Speedy fans, and now they're buying the real thing.
Yeah. All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's do
D's
it.
back.
Okay.
D's back. And I'm gonna tell you something. Shout out D. He gave us all 10 in one post. I'll have to read them. I'll have to read them though. Okay. So number one, he's not going to get any flack from me on the number one, the Explorer 2 Polar Dial. And I don't care which year it is. I think that thing's beautiful.
Yep.
It's one of my grails. Yep.
No objections.
The Vacheron Constantine 2223.
That is a gorgeous piece.
Yep. Oyster Quartz 4.
Okay. Another cool. He's got some funkiness in there.
Yeah. D. You know what D reminds me of? Like when everyone else is drinking like Pepsi and Coke, D's grabbing a ginger ale or a cream soda.
That's what it is. Because it's not a bad drink. A ginger ale and cream soda is good. And so far, all the stuff he's got is good, but it is off the beaten path.
Yep. He has a Zen. Look, D, you had me at Zen. I'm missing, I had my Zen 105 UTC. I sold it to get my Grand Seiko. But I love the Zen. I love any Zen U15.
I have nothing bad about Zen.
Part of the reason and we'll do a wrist check before we get off with you, Rob, but you haven't done one yet. But part of the reason why I got my Mulagashute is because of my experience with Zen. And I was like, I need a German watch, but I wanted something a little funky. The Tutima 7988. I love Tutima. I've handled them. But I can only have so much German in the house. It's a long story. Seiko Pulse Meter 9.
I'm trying to remember that one.
I'm not familiar with that one, but I know what the pulse meter is, but I don't know if the 9's a specific one.
Yeah.
I'm Porsche IWC Ocean 2010.
Those
or 2000. And then the 10 is the Portofino.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. That's what it is.
D is a self-appointed shameless hipster.
Oh, yes. Okay, it's the Ripley. Yes.
Okay. So hold on, Rob. We got to give a vote on D's top 10. So let's just do the blind vote like we do in the military. You know how it is. Like, put your hand below the screen, and then I'll count to 3, and we both come up. 1, 2, 3. Good job, D.
I love it.
Great top 10.
Yeah, no, you totally had some, and let's just say D, let's say you had all those in the box. You could take that to any watch meetup in any town, and people would go, all right. Like, you're gonna hit some of the hoity-toities with the Vacheron. You're gonna hit the Seiko nuts. You're gonna hit the like tool watch guys, with the Zins and everything, and then you're gonna hit the Rolex fanboys with the Explorer. Like you have a wide range in that entire box.
Yeah, D just took us on an emotional journey.
Yes, he did.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And with the pulse meter, the alien there. He's gonna, even like he says, with the hipster, you're gonna get the dude over there with the ladies' jeans and the high socks and the crazy glasses, and they're gonna go, "Hey, that's a cool watch."
Oh, man, that thing's freaking sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks, D. Thanks for helping us close the show out with that. So I think we learned a lot tonight. I appreciate you coming on, Rob. Let's do a wrist check real quick. What are you wearing tonight? We didn't wrist check you.
So I text you, but I don't think you saw it. big wrist check for me today because
Oh,
new watch
oh,
today. Just opened the box today. So this is a watch, little bit of a build up, a watch that I have been thinking about for literal years. Literal
mm,
years. It has always played the bridesmaid where I've had it in the queue. I've got to get one of these. I got to try one of these out. I don't know if it's, I'm not saying it's a keeper. I just have always wanted and had this desire to try it out. And it finally kind of aligned, and the brand's kind of at a low at the time, buying low, if you will. So it was a good time to get into it. But here we have a Panerai
oh, nice.
radio mirror
Yep.
610. It's the 8-day movement.
Mm,
So 198-hour power reserve. So
look at
I
that bad boy.
I kind of alluded to it a little bit with the Alpinist and the 3-day, but if you'll notice, it just says 8 days,
Yeah.
and that's it. It's got the radio mirror, it's got Panerai, and it's kind of crappy lighting here in the basement.
Yeah.
But I have always wanted. It's the new
Oh, it's
in-house
beautiful.
double barrel 8-day movement, and
Congratulations, man.
this thing is as clean can be from 17, I think 2017.
Yeah.
So it's not in production anymore. It's a discontinued model, but I'm huge into no dates. I'm huge into just a clean aesthetic.
Yeah.
And again, I fully support everybody that says no Panerai for me, because for years I said that, and I get it. But I also get the guys, the Paneristas,
Yeah.
that are so hardcore about it, because very few watches, like here in a dimly lit basement across the camera here, you could see this and go, "Oh, that's a Panerai."
Yeah.
Like, like that's a Panerai. Period.
Yeah.
You know what?
People do that with my marathon. They're like, oh, it's a marathon.
So I saw a marathon yesterday at a thing from across the room. Like, there are a
Yeah.
few watches where you can see it across the room and go, "Hey, that dude's got that. Oh,
Yep.
that's cool."
He's
And
got the pulse meter.
there we go. So, but yeah, this is,
Oh, congratulations, man. I'm happy for you.
I'm freaking pumped. 13 mil thick. That's it.
That's not
It's
bad.
it's not bad for an 8-day manually wound 45
Yeah.
millimeter. I mean, just when you say the dimensions out loud, it kind of makes you sound obscene. Like 26 mil strap, like all this stuff. But on the wrist, it actually works.
Yeah. Same thing with this. I mean, this thing's 45. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. It's about 13 thick, but man, it wears like a charm.
Right?
Whereas the only thing that sucks is that the strap, I came with the OEM strap. I got this from the Wilson Watchworks. He had serviced it, gave me all the paperwork and everything.
Yes.
But whoever owned it before, they cut the strap and it was like a 7.25 inch. So it's just too small, which is cool. I've sourced a bracelet. They want like $300. They can get out of here with that noise.
Yeah.
I got it on a Zulu Diver Octopod.
Ooh.
It's doing pretty good, man.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's gorgeous.
Oh man, it's tasty.
That bezel is so funky. I love it.
Yeah. Oh man, so I'm so glad you got to announce your new watch alert.
Yeah.
My cell phone's over there because if you get it too close to the mic, it does like that weird interference.
Totally good, man. And like I said, I'm not claiming this is the keeper to end all keepers,
No.
but I seriously have had this in the queue for years, and every other watch is, and I've probably sold 10 watches that I've bought before this one. And meanwhile, this is just hanging out in the back of my mind. And like I said, it's kind of like I would say an all-time low for buying Panerais, with this trend to go smaller. The hipsters want the 34 millimeters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm just waiting for a bioceramic Panerai to come out, and then I'll.
Hey, there we go.
Take the time. Well, hey, I don't want to. We're pushing an hour and 20 minutes, and we usually try to keep it an hour. But Robert, from the bottom of my heart, bro, and I know I speak for Alex too and Cody. Thank you for hopping on. Thank you for helping make the show. I was doing the good fight by myself, but I appreciate it, man. I owe you, brother.
Hey, no worries.
For D, for Justin, anyone at home watching, check out Robert's store, Mushi Watch Straps. He has a Mushi watch strap that is a form of a North American Treaty Organization strap. So, I say the full word. I say the full word now. No more acronyms.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, D. D said great show tonight. D, thanks for helping make part of it a great show.
Yeah.
It was
Great
awesome.
list, D.
Yeah, D's list is awesome. D, you need to make a t-shirt and with your top 10 and just walk around with it on there. People, you probably have to like, beat your fans off with a stick. But just and thank you to Justin and like I said, D for coming out. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Government Cheese Time. Again, check out antiwatchclub.org. Go check out the Blue Guardian program they got going on. And do you got any party shots, Rob?
Yeah, so I'm an idiot. I put Mushy watch straps as my handle. It's just Mushy straps. That was my old handle. It's a hard habit to kick still. So check me out on Instagram, just Mushy straps. Take a look. I have decent straps at, I would say decent prices, and it's stuff that I wear myself. I do not sell crap because I don't wear crap.
Yeah.
And that's
that gray fluted, man.
It's
I'm telling
gorgeous.
telling you. And when we get some with brushed finish,
Yes.
I'm gonna go punch a clown. That's how happy I'll be.
There we go.
Like, what did I do? And but like everyone, like I said, thanks a lot tonight. And hey Rob, I'll hit the screen, but just stay on. We can shoot the stuff for a few minutes afterwards.
Okay.
But again, thank you everyone tonight. Thank you, Justin. One team, one fight, buddy. And D, thanks a lot for helping make the show. And I hope you score all 10 of those watches, man. And everyone, have a great night.
See you guys.